Good evening, Californios. It's February 8th, 2022, and this is podcast number 2 of Season 2. We are Red Star Report. I'm Hal G. Lohr, and this is Voices for the California Nation. Let's get started. On Monday, January 31st, the Single-Payer Healthcare Assembly Bill, AB 1400, died in the California legislature without a single hearing, motion, or vote, as Assemblymember Ash Kalra, a San Jose Democrat carrying AB 1400, announced that he would not even bring up the measure for a vote, even as polls showed that a predictable 65% of Californians would support single-payer health care, as opposed to an equally predictable 29% who oppose it. The lopsided split that numerically runs roughly down California's blue-red political map. But opposing AB 1400 were the usual big-dollar suspects, the lobbies that long ago vowed to kill any effort in California, or the rest of the USA for that matter, to adopt any form of universal health care. And when I say usual suspects, I mean the conservative super PACs, big donors like those in the California Chamber of Commerce, various U.S. insurance industry and healthcare management groups, and associations like the California Medical Association. All groups that could lose industry control and profits under a new system, and so they created a lobbying blitz to AB 1400 as too expensive and a job killer, and they denounced it for tax increases, needed to pay for the system. You've heard this before. Facing off in support were the main sponsors of AB 1400, the California Nurses Association, along with multiple activist groups, and the California Democratic Party's Progressive Caucus, who had been fighting for single-payer health care for years. And since these proponents had threatened to withhold endorsements for assembly members who did not vote for the bill, Assemblymember Ash Kalra simply decided to forget the whole thing and not bother to bring AB 1400 to the floor for a vote, saying that he didn't have the votes for passage. That move protected his fellow assembly members from the public embarrassment and, of course, the backlash of having to actually take a position on AB 1400 and take an actual vote. And just in case you're wondering where Governor Gavin Newsom stood on AB 1400, the answer is in silence. Even though single-payer health care was a Newsom 2018 campaign promise. So what does this all mean for the California independence movement? Well, I've seen a few articles from the LA Times and Sacramento Bee linked and briefly commented on in California independence movement Facebook threads and elsewhere that have either condemned or justified Sacramento's actions on this. But that only allows us to frame the discussion paradigm in commentary on media from outside of the movement. So, without taking any real deep dives into the costs or complexities or arguing the differences between single-payer versus universal health care, let's just distill this down to its lowest California independence movement terms. On Monday, January 31st, 2022, California's, quote, state, end quote, assembly embraced the standard political cowardice of U.S. federal-style corruption. Instead of taking bold action for the benefit of 40 million Californians, they acted in their own political, personal, and financial self-interests and caved to the insurance industry lobby on AB 1400. But before those events flicker out of the California public memory, it deserves a little more clarity. You see, there's really no denying that what happened here is our state's elected officials just decided that 40 million Californians who live and work and often struggle in the fifth richest economy on earth can't afford and don't deserve universal health care. When every other industrial nation on the planet, mostly with far more people and far lower GDPs than California's, have been able to afford and provide universal health care to their citizens for years. From a California independence standpoint, here was a chance for California to take a step towards independence by taking California's place among the developed nations of the world and provide much-needed help to the people of California. But the state assembly decided not to get it done. And their excuse? Democratic Assemblyman Shankar said later that he didn't call the vote because he didn't have the votes. An excuse most Californians don't question, because we've heard Democrats in the federal government use it over and over again on TV to justify their own failures to pass legislation. I didn't have the votes. I didn't have the votes? Well, if you stop and think for a second, that just sounds like a bad joke here in California when Shankara's own Democratic Party holds 60 out of 80 seats in our state assembly. Literally a 3-1 unbeatable advantage, an unprecedented majority. They didn't have the votes. They had the votes. What they didn't have was the will. They decided to ignore this chance to provide universal health care to 40 million Californians. They sold out their own people to the corporations, cashed the checks, and maintained the American status quo. Just like federal politicians in the U.S. government in Washington. And rebels? That's not good. This is Voices for the California Nation. Tonight on Activism in Action, we have a follow-up to our podcast 24, the segment involving Candice Reed, the Riverside school teacher who was dancing around her classroom, basically imitating Indigenous people to give a math lesson. Tonight, we follow that up with a special Activism in Action. Shankar, it's all you.
This is our country, folks. This is California.
Hello, Californios. What's up? Shankar Singam, Red Star Report, Activism in Action. I'm going to make this real quick. We have two huge interviews on this segment. I just want to get through those real quick. So just to refresh your memories, about 2 months ago, back in November, early November, there was a teacher in Riverside who got dressed up in Native American feathers and was hopping and yelling and squawking all over the classroom trying to teach calculus. Anyways, a student took a video of her acting this way and it went viral, right? It spread, okay? Of course, huge lashback. Not only was that kid that took the video Native American, the entire Native American community in the United States pretty much saw this video and was offended by it. So the next week, a week after this incident happened, the teacher was suspended with pay. And the student who took the video all of a sudden was getting bullied at school and was even reprimanded by the school officials for being a troublemaker. Okay. Remember that, because this first interview is going to be at this last Thursday's school board meeting. It was the final, the day of the decision whether to fire Candice Reed or not. and you had Native Americans come from all over the country to try to convince the school board to do the right thing. It was great. So this first interview is with a guy named, I'm going to butcher your name, Annawon Weeden, of the Mashpee tribe of the, oh boy, Wampanoag Nation. Okay. Remember what happened to this teenager in school? He got picked on by his peers, and he got told by the school officials that he's being a troublemaker. Let's watch this video of Annawon talking about what he's hearing about and why he came all the way here from Massachusetts. Go ahead.
Annawon, Weeden, Mashpee, Wampanoag.
Where exactly is that?
Mashpee is the tribe, Wampanoag is the nation. Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims landed, that was the tribe that was there. Still there.
And you came here all the way from Massachusetts for this meeting? Or
just for this? I was actually in Virginia when I was informed of this meeting, and since I was about 12 hours closer than I was at home, I decided right then on the spot when I just heard about it that I'm going to drop what I'm doing because this is that important, and these kids, bottom line, need support. I see Candice getting all her support from probably peers that are on this board making the decision for her, and I just simply hope that, I don't know if this video, I don't know if any of these things will get to that child so that that child will know that they're being supported in the same manner.
Wow, that's incredible. You were mentioning in there that, because we all heard about what happened to the high school student, you were mentioning that the same thing happened to you as well when you were a kid, and so is it
happens to many of us, I'm sure. My children, I was pretty fortunate. I have 5 children. I was very fortunate that in many cases I would find out in advance that their classmates were being asked to dress up as pilgrims, and that my children were being asked to dress up as pilgrims. My Wampanoag children are being asked to dress up as colonists. So needless to say, I somehow would find out. Creator doesn't, he works in mysterious ways, and I would be able to go in. I'd tell my children they had to miss school. My children had to miss school whenever I found out about these incidents. There's no way I was going to allow them to be mocked and made fun of by their teacher in front of their peers. So I was able to spare my children throughout pretty much their entire public school years. Myself, I can honestly say, like I was saying in there, every year when they talk about Thanksgiving in my mom's tribe, it was like, they handed the turkey, the smallpox wiped them out, and they're no longer around. And it's like, no, really, I'm here. I was trying to stand up for myself, and every time I was told I was being disruptive, I was being disciplined as a result of it, and it literally is the same exact case as how they treated this young man who documented something that had been going on far too long. No child should have sat through it. Clearly too much for him to simply sit through and not do something, and to know that they attacked him and targeted him and bullied him into hoping that he would not even release the footage. Had he not done so, none of us would be here. Right. None of us would be able to help this situation, and they clearly would continue doing this because this has been going on for well over a decade now.
So what do you expect, or what would you like to see as far as, let me ask you this. Why do you think Candice Reed hasn't just apologized and just squashed it? Like, hey, I'm sorry for doing this. I had no idea. Why do you think she hasn't done that yet?
Through my own personal relationship, something I try not to do through the observation of how other people treat situations like these. It's hard for people to just admit they're wrong. It's hard for people to just say sorry. Like one word, sorry, is so hard to get out and say. And instead they would rather just defend themselves. I see a lot of it whenever you try to point something out that's affecting you perhaps, and then the person just flips it on you and says, well, you're doing all of these things to aggravate me. Neither way, it's not helping the situation. As they were stated, this school, let alone her, should have already made a public apology.
Absolutely.
I work in schools, by the way. Most of what I do back home is to prevent this kind of behavior being done in the school, and most of the schools are literally reaching out to me. I do not advertise. They find out that this guy's doing this and assisting schools. Most of them admit, we don't know what we're teaching about your culture, we're not capable or qualified, and they admit they need help. Why this school still, after all of this, has not acknowledged we need help, we need to work with the Native community instead of upsetting them. So it's no longer just about Candice Reed. My whole reason for coming here, first and foremost, support that young youth, support our tribal youth, first and foremost. Secondly, this is well beyond Candice at this point. This is well beyond all of the Reeds out there who do this kind of behavior. This is about hoping, and I'm going to do everything personally, as you can see, to follow through that this entire unified school district addresses all of these situations, because clearly this is not the only situation. Clearly it's been going on too long. It's way above Candice. It's the superintendent. Again, the principal needs to resign. If that's how you're going to handle these situations, if you're going to target a child for trying to defend themselves, you are not suitable to be a principal, in my opinion. Candice should have already stepped down. She shouldn't be waiting to be terminated, but automatic termination for her. And bottom line, the ultimate result, the only way to really even try, I don't know how to undo or fix this level of catastrophe, but simply cultural sensitivity training, curriculum development. These are the kinds of things that I want to see the Riverside Unified School District stand behind, not just letting her go, not just trying to sweep this under the rug, but actually making changes that will impact future generations.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. You would think that the Riverside School Board would, or even the district would introduce some sort of training in their curriculum to deal with Native American, with the Indigenous. I mean, with any race, really. I mean, it really needs to have some cultural sensitivity courses with these public school teachers. Some of them at least do. But now that she's done that, how hard is it to fire Candice Reed? Well, this next interview, her name is, I'm gonna butcher it too, Nellie Myia Turtleheart LeGaspe. She's actually the Santa Ana Commissioner of Personnel, meaning she fires people from the county. So she goes over their records, looks over the complaints, and then decides who gets fired and who doesn't. She's going to break down right here the process of getting rid of Candice Reed and what the school district has to do in order to do that. Go ahead and roll, Miss Turtleheart LeGaspe, please.
Record you if that's okay.
Go ahead. The employee has the right to appeal the decision. And when they appeal the decision, it goes to another hearing, and there'll be another opportunity for people to speak. And that's where we need to be mindful of the process, because she's looking at losing her pension, and that's what she doesn't want to do. If she quits, she loses her pension. But if she persists, then she's going to go through the whole process. It could take another year.
It could take another
That's
year.
a reality.
This is about as hard as firing a cop, right?
Yeah.
It is. And like I said, I am the Personnel Commission for the City of Santa Ana. I sit on the commission that hears against employees, including the police department. So I understand very, very well the process.
Right.
Okay, so when we're having a hearing, we have to compare what's being done to the policies and in the city, the civil code. And we have to go through that process. And we hear the employees out, and then we make our decision, and it's final. There's nowhere else they can go. They can't go to the state for us.
Do you think she's going to go back, return to work?
She probably will somewhere else.
Not there.
Another state.
Not at Riverside, though.
No.
No.
So,
It is possible that she'll lose her position here and make a deal and go somewhere else.
why didn't she just do that, right?
Because she'll lose her pension. If she
she goes
takes,
somewhere else,
No,
she-
she resigns her position here. She
Oh, I
she
see.
can lose her pension. It's like admitting, yes, I messed up,
Yeah.
and that should be what she should be doing. But since she's not, then it behooves the school board to take action, because, like I said, they're up for re-election.
If she would have just issued an apology right off the bat, then she wouldn't have to go through any of this. The union wouldn't have to go.
Exactly.
So why didn't she just do that? I mean, it
Because she
seems like this-
probably thinks at her heart and soul that she did nothing wrong. When you keep doing
don't.
something,
I
when
don't.
something keeps being done wrong continually, then it becomes, how's the saying? Silence implies agreement or compliance. So if she keeps doing it, the board never corrects her, they're saying it's okay.
Yeah, they're condoning it by.
They are.
Just
And-
their
and
silence is.
It implies compliance or agreement. So
Complicity.
they've got, it is. And so they've got to do something. They've got to take some kind of action. Because I guarantee you that groups like us that are grassroots, we know how to mobilize people without even being here.
I know.
Okay?
Right.
And we've gotten people unelected. My nephew, who is the youngest councilman in Santa Ana, pushed out a sheriff.
Oh,
Who was
that's
the city
her.
council. Yes,
that's her
Jonathan,
in Anaheim.
Jonathan Ryan Hernandez in Santa Ana.
In Santa Ana,
That's-
and the cops killed his
Yes.
cousin or his.
And we were there. We went and we stood with them and we spoke at the vigil. We spoke at the city council meetings, and it was a week
They shot the
before.
wrong guy
yeah.
that day.
And let me tell you, I tried to stay as biased as I possibly can, but I saw the tape.
Unbiased.
Excuse me, unbiased. And I try to stay that
saw
way.
the
I
tape
saw
of
the
that?
tape, everything, and he had nothing in his hands but a water bottle in a black bag. Really? So you thought that was a gun? Then there needs to be some retraining.
Anaheim, I know we're changing subject on the
It is
police,
Anaheim
but
PD.
yeah, it's Anaheim PD. They're the worst. Fullerton also has a shooting of an individual that in front of his house. I heard it in front of his front door.
The beautiful part is we have a very proactive mayor, and he
In Anaheim?
in Santa Ana.
Oh, in Santa.
Because
I'm sorry,
this happened in Santa Ana. They
Right,
came
right.
into our neighborhood. Imagine,
It's
I go
Anaheim
into
PD,
your
right?
neighborhood and I go and start protesting and doing stuff, and I take negative action in your community. That looks bad on the person who's the leader in that community, and it looks bad on me. And people are going to be held accountable. So the bottom line is, this school district, if they keep allowing this behavior, then they've said, hey, it's okay for our teachers to do this, because we need those dollars, and we need that teacher. We don't want to have to pay a lawsuit, because I'll guarantee you, if she gets fired, she's going to sue.
We were planning a protest at front of her house, and it was going to be a square dance. But I don't think going in front of her house. She's gone now. I'm sure she's probably back by this point. But
The bottom line is that when we do actions, what is the results we want?
Yeah.
And if you're going in front of somebody's house, and I'm not saying it's bad, but you're really irritating more the neighbors.
well, that's what it's for. It's
Then
for the
you're-
neighbors. It's not for them. It's
Yeah.
for the neighbors to. It's so when that person comes home, it's uncomfortable for them when their neighbors are looking at them going,
Right.
because you just made someone else's life uncomfortable. Well,
Right.
guess what? Now your life
You
is
guys
going to be
need me?
just as uncomfortable.
No, we just make sure that you're okay.
No, I'm good. He asked me if he could record it, and I let him.
Oh, okay.
So I'm talking about the process of firing the unions and all that.
That's what's up. All right.
You know me, when I'm talking like this, it's all good.
All right.
Thank you.
It is good. What was your name again, ma'am?
Nellie, Myia, Turtleheart, LeGaspe.
Right on.
So that is Miss Nellie. We're going to be seeing a lot more of these two interviews. I can't wait. And Candice Reed, just to let you guys all know, she got fired. She got fired that Thursday to cheers in the school board. So she'll have to go find a job somewhere else. Now, as far as her pension, I think she is going to keep her pension. But she's going to have to find a job somewhere else. Get the fuck out of California, Candice Reed. That's what I got to say. Just get the fuck out. Go to the east. Go somewhere east of here where they'll understand your lesson plan, okay? But you're not welcome here, anywhere in Riverside, anywhere in California, please. I'm sure you hate it anyways. And in your mind, like Miss Turtleheart LeGaspe said, you didn't do anything wrong. Well, you can keep thinking that. Keep driving past Vegas, okay? That's all I got for you guys today. See you next week on another episode of Activism in Action. And hey, protests do work. My name is Shankar for Red Star Report. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Shankar. Very good interview. Let's go on to talking points. This is Talking Points. Okay, I've been talking about this for a while, but I never thought I'd need to address it again on Talking Points. It's becoming a frequently asked question that a few too many people are just a little too eager to answer. It goes, who is the leader of the California Independence Movement? So let's start with a little hint. If anyone out there is telling you that they are the president of, or the CEO of, or the chairman of, or the original founder of, and therefore the leader of the California Independence Movement, it's bullshit. There is no official leader of the California Independence Movement, and anyone trying to claim differently has an agenda you should probably question. California Independence Movement is an umbrella term, an inclusive, loose, and broad term used simply to describe the people and organizations that are working in their own way to support California independence. It's not a structured entity in its own right. And to stay descriptive as a general umbrella term for the movement, it's really easier if it stays that way, particularly if we don't want to keep renaming the movement every time someone gets delusions of grandeur. Now there are a number of people and organizations out there within the movement or aligned with the movement, and they have varying types of structures and leadership. But, and this is talking point, nobody is the leader of the California independence movement. I mean, as an obvious example, Michael Lopes is the current president of the California National Party. He's definitely one of the good guys, and he's been involved in the movement for years. Or 4 years. For years? He's an experienced and talented spokesman, and in the 2021 Newsom recall election, he received 26,000 votes. If anyone was qualified to lead the California independence movement, you'd think he'd be at the top of the list, but that's not what's happening. The California National Party, or CNP, is a political party focused on getting candidates on California state and local ballots, building a platform, and getting recognition for the CNP as an official political party. That's what they do. Red Star Report, on the other hand, is an LLC, a California independence movement media company. The Independent California Institute is a 501c3 policy think tank, and so on, and so on, and so on. All of them and more are recognized as part of the California independence movement. All of them have structures and leadership. They maintain friendly relations with each other and can and do work together, but none of them lay claim to lead the entire movement. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. And it's a good thing. Who's the leader of the California independence movement? Nobody. We are all part of the California independence movement, but nobody owns it. So, just going to take a moment, speak to the few remaining people out there who are throwing internet temper tantrums, threatening legal actions, and still demanding recognition as founders, owners, leaders, whatever, of the California independence movement. With all due sincerity, shut the fuck up and get over it. Everybody knows you have maybe a dozen real people left and 18,000 Russian bots. That's no secret, no matter how many times you try to avoid it, deny it, or ignore it. Your repeated leadership fails. Personal vendettas, Russian ties, organizational mismanagement, and general toxicity are a big reason why the California independence movement hasn't had greater success, and that is undeniable. So no matter how many times you try to reinvent yourselves or justify your actions, the California independence movement has left you behind. Won't be fooled again, and won't allow you to get past your history. Ever. Honestly, if you actually cared about California independence half as much as you seem to care about your own narcissistic self-aggrandizement, you'd quit and save yourself a lot of trouble. And I am personally disappointed that some of you didn't listen when this was the topic of a discussion at conferences 2 years ago. But fortunately for you, most of the members of the California independence movement would be satisfied if you just go away and let your old drama fade away. But know this, just to be crystal fucking clear, you are not now, nor will you ever be, the leaders of the California independence movement. This is Talking Points. All right. That's Red Star Report for the week of February 8th, 2022. For more information, I invite you to check out our website at www.redstarreport.com. Subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. Go to our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter page, and Instagram accounts, and give us a like and follow, please. Because if you want a real California independence movement media group, it's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you and our Red Star Rebels for watching. We are Red Star Report.